Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Matt Morris. We are live right now on YouTube as well as on Rumble at Matt Morris TV. Folks, as a little bit of a warning here, today we are going to have what can only be described as a whirlwind of a show. We have a lot to talk about. Today we got some massive breaking news updates pertaining to the Insurrection Act, new updates between this morning's live show and this live show. So I think all of you are going to like our news today. We also got some very curious information regarding last night's ICE-involved shooting in Minneapolis that has pretty much shattered. This new information has shattered the far left's entire narrative. That seems to always happen. Funny how that works. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt today went absolutely nuclear on the far left propaganda media earlier this afternoon. So we're going to touch base on that. Members of the far left are now explicitly calling for violence against ICE officers on social media. We're going to take a look at what some of them are saying today. And today, we also got a series of pretty massive arrests as well as a massive legal victory for the Trump administration. So folks, good Lord, today we have a lot to talk about. I think the very best place to start here is with really the biggest news of the day, the Insurrection Act. Now, folks, before we get into it, I do want to say, of course, if you have not already subscribed to the channel on Rumble or on YouTube, and if you have not already liked today's broadcast, please do me a favor and do so. But with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we get right into it? Now, earlier this morning, President Trump made this announcement. I'm sure many of you have heard the news by now, but as a little bit of a recap, President Trump came out this morning and he said, quote, if the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act, which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is taking place in that once great state. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, folks, between Trump posting this about 12 hours ago exactly, and now we have some big updates. The first of which, why don't we go ahead and take a look at right now, folks? A professional breakdown.
Trump weighs the Insurrection Act. We go to attorney and Article 3 Project President Mike Davis. Mike, thanks for being with us here today. What would it look like? What would happen if President Trump invoked the Insurrection Act?
Well, immigration is controlled by Congress. Federal law is the supreme law of the land. Our elected members of Congress have passed laws to control immigration. President Trump is executing those laws, which is his constitutional duty to do. And you have these Confederates-like Democrat politicians like Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who think that they can, by force, resist these immigration efforts. That is textbook insurrection. That is textbook seditious conspiracy. Those are very serious federal felonies, along with assaults on law enforcement, along with harboring illegal aliens, along with conspiracy generally. I would say to Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, you're playing a very deadly game here, and you could end up in federal prison if you do this. In addition, the president can and should invoke the Insurrection Act, which is passed by Congress to allow the president to federalize the Minnesota National Guard to assist federal law enforcement in executing federal immigration laws and to put down this insurrection.
You know, he said something very curious here. I've never really thought about it from the opposite direction. We have federal immigration law that Congress has passed, numerous articles of federal immigration law that Congress, various congressional sessions have passed over the last couple decades. If the president of the United States refused to enforce federal, congressionally passed federal immigration law, that would actually be frankly, an egregious dereliction of duty. Can you imagine? Just everybody put on your imagination cap right now. Imagine if we had a president who refused to enforce congressionally passed federal immigration law. It would be a dereliction of duty. That's not what Trump is doing. Trump is enforcing it, thank God. But wow, imagine we had a president that said, nope, I'm just not going to do it. Joe Biden.
And in fact, it has led to bloodshed. 2 individuals emerged from an apartment last night, seemingly taking up Fry and Waltz on their invitation and interfering in an ICE arrest, joining an assault against an ICE officer. But I'm going to return to that question, Mike. Let's say President Trump does invoke the Insurrection Act. What then? How does that unfold in Minnesota?
Good question.
Well, then President Trump could send in the active duty military forces into Minnesota, into Minneapolis, to put down the rebellion, to put down the insurrection. He could also federalize the Minnesota National Guard. Well, the National Guard would be under federal control, under the president's control, and not under Governor Tim Walz's control.
Good.
And I would say this, if these Democrat politicians, you're hearing that they want to arrest ICE agents around the country when these ICE agents are executing federal immigration laws, that could lead to deadly force being used by ICE agents against state and local law enforcement. Are these Democrat politicians really trying to cause a civil war here? Are these Democrat politicians trying to end up in federal prison for the rest of their lives or worse?
It certainly sounds that way.
You know what? I'll tell you something. I think these Democrats, this was a big topic point on today's morning broadcast. I think the Democrats, the far left, namely the radical progressives, they have realized that they are on the cusp of losing everything. They do not have the support of the American people. They know that every single day the Trump administration is ripping apart the entire radically progressive power structure, the NGOs, the foreign money, the illegal alien invaders, the violent Tren de Aragua gang members, etc. All of this, their entire apparatus, the apparatus that has kept the far left in power for so long, is being shredded every single day. And so they have realized they are losing. It's only a matter of time. The jig is up. Their game plan is over. They are about to lose everything. And so I think as far as the far left is concerned, that they're like, yeah, you know what? Hey, we're going to lose anyway. We're in the process of losing right now. Screw it. Civil war. Well, okay, we're going to lose anyway. All right, civil war. I really do think that is their mindset. It's terrible.
It certainly sounds that way from the rhetoric that we're hearing from not just Fry and Waltz, but, for example, the sheriff of Philadelphia. We're hearing that increasingly, the seeming plea for a standoff between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement. We appreciate you being with us here today, Mike.
Now, I want to mention something that a lot of people seem to not have noticed or appreciated properly. So I'm going to say it again. Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump this morning 12 hours ago, issued a warning. Hey, Minnesota, Governor Tim Walz, if you do not get a grip on this situation, I will use the Insurrection Act. This is a warning that President Trump publicly proclaimed. Okay, why is that important? Why is that worth remarking on? Well, folks, if you go and take a look at the actual Insurrection Act itself, it's a big piece of legislation. It actually says Section 254 specifically of the Insurrection Act actually mandates that the President of the United States must explicitly issue a public proclamation, a warning, before the Insurrection Act can actually be invoked. Well. What has President Trump done today? President Trump, in accordance with Section 254 of the Insurrection Act, this morning, President Trump has gone ahead and issued that very public proclamation. He actually legally has to do this. President Trump, even if he wanted, he could not just come out and invoke the Insurrection Act. He actually has to. He legally is forced to issue a warning like this. It says as such in the act itself. What President Trump has done here this morning is literally the first and necessary step. He has to do this to actually invoke the full act. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a stupid little post on Truth Social. This is a hurdle a necessary hurdle that he has to overcome. He needs to do this and actually in order to move forward, which is exactly what has happened. Now, another very curious component to this entire dynamic pertaining to the Insurrection Act. If you are convicted of inciting, engaging in, or giving aid or comfort to a rebellion or insurrection against the United States, you are not allowed to hold public office ever again. This is in accordance with the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution says, if you are engaging in rebellion or insurrection against the United States government, you are permanently prohibited from ever holding public office again. And by the way, all of us are actually very familiar with this concept because this is what the Democrats tried to do against President Trump following the events of January 6th. Remember, following January 6th for 3.5 or 4 years, the entire left-wing narrative was Donald Trump, insurrection, J6, insurrection, Donald Trump, he created an insurrection, J6, insurrection. Okay, why did they do that? Was that just an empty, hollow talking point, or was there a strategic purpose? There was a purpose why the Democrats pushed that narrative for 3.5 or 4 years. And I'll tell you why. Those of you that were paying attention very closely, you might have picked up on this. During the 2024 Republican primary, we have not made it to the general election yet, Trump versus Biden. Before that, early 2024, it's the Republican primary, where we're deciding, is it going to be Donald Trump? Is it going to be Ted Cruz? Is it going to be, I don't know, some other Republican? We decided on Donald Trump. But remember, early on in that Republican primary, the Democrats, specifically Colorado State, they tried to make the claim that because Donald Trump was an insurrectionist, that his name could not be included on the Colorado State Republican primary ballot. They used Colorado as a testing ground to try to kick him off of the Republican primary ballot under the notion that he was an insurrectionist. Now, immediately, this was a shock case. It went up to this U.S. Supreme Court immediately, within weeks, less than weeks. The Supreme Court came back immediately. They said, hey, wait a minute. This is ridiculous. The Supreme Court, I kid you not, in a 9-0 decision, unanimous, which is just stunning considering the current composition of the Supreme Court. All 9 of them came back and said, actually, Colorado, you are not allowed to kick off Donald Trump. And the reason why is because they tried to legally designate Trump as an insurrectionist for a very long time. Was Trump ever legally designated as an insurrectionist? No court in this country ever found Trump guilty of insurrection. CNN said he was an insurrectionist. Who gives a damn? MSNBC said who cares? Doesn't matter what they say. Has any court in this country ever found Trump to be guilty of insurrection? No. And so the Supreme Court said, Colorado, you're not allowed to do this. Now, there's another component to this. Colorado was the testing ground for this legal theory, is what I just said a moment ago. There were numerous other states, Maine, Vermont, Oregon, Washington, blue states, that were sitting here on the sideline, watching, waiting patiently to see what happened in Colorado. And we know that this is a fact because if their strategy to remove Trump off of the Republican primary ballot in Colorado had proven to be successful, if the Supreme Court said, all right, whatever, go ahead, then every single blue state in the country, perhaps even some red states, would have followed suit. This was their plan. This was a 4-year-long premeditated Democrat plan to prevent Trump from ever coming back in the 2024 election and regaining power in this country. Their plan failed. And now you know this is the history behind why the Democrats, for 4 years following J6, they were ranting and raving about J6 insurrection, Donald Trump insurrection. And then you want to know something that is almost comical? The second the Supreme Court got involved in this in Colorado and said, Colorado, you're not allowed to do this, the Democrats immediately, overnight, the very second that Supreme Court ruling came down, 9-0, definitive. The Democrats never talked about Trump insurrection, J6 insurrection ever again. Have you noticed that? You might have noticed the Democrats, they don't talk about the J6 insurrection anymore, or how Trump is an insurrectionist. They don't talk about that at all anymore. It's because their plan failed. Their plan failed. The only reason they were talking about that was to try to push the narrative to kick him off of the Republican primary ballots. The plan failed. All right, on to the next talking point. All right, on to the next plan. So just to add a little bit of a context here, but now the tables seem to have turned a little bit. Now the insurrection tables have rotated around 180 degrees. It seems to be that it is now the Democrats that are engaging in rebellion and insurrection, which is in direct conflict with the U.S. Constitution. And if we can prove in a court of law, if we start having a legal designation, you're an insurrectionist, you are an insurrectionist, insurrection, then whichever politician on the left is involved in said insurrection, they will be permanently prohibited from holding public office ever again in this country. And that seems to be the angle going forward. That's a very powerful angle. So let's get that out of the way. Now, folks, we have some other news I want to talk about here. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, has dropped some bombshell information pertaining to the ICE-involved shooting that took place last night in Minneapolis, which ultimately led to these riots we saw last night. Now, before I show you this news update, for the last 20 hours or so, the narrative coming from the far left is that there was an innocent immigrant, legal, illegal, I don't know, it doesn't matter. He was running away from an ICE agent. He fell down. The ICE agent was pummeling him on the ground. And then two similarly innocent people came out of their house to protect this innocent immigrant who was being beaten up by this evil Nazi ICE agent. And then the ICE agent got his gun out and shot one of them. That was the narrative. Just a merry band of innocent people making a stand against ICE. Well, as it would turn out, all of that is complete and total baloney.
Breaking just moments ago, DHS releasing new details on the 3 illegal immigrants who you're looking at, accused of beating an ICE officer with a shovel.
Oh, well, 3, all of them were illegal immigrants. Oh, that's awkward. That's awkward because for the last 20 hours, I had heard that all of them were just innocent, just totally innocent. They were all great people. They're totally innocent. Really?
And a broom handle. Now, that happened when that ICE officer tried to arrest one of them in Minneapolis last night. These are their pictures. And DHS saying that the officer had to fire a defensive shot to save his life. Media leaving out many of these details. That injured one of the immigrants, and the injured immigrant and the ICE officer are now recovering. And we will, of course, keep you updated on this incident and all of the happenings in Minnesota.
Man, I'll just say something real quick. Take this. You can take this however you want. It is a shame that that illegal alien is recovering. You know what I mean? Now, we have some more information here. From the DHS official page itself, all 3, it's funny how fast the narrative can shift. All 3 of the illegal aliens involved in last night's violent attack on law enforcement were let into our country by the Biden administration. Go figure. Julio Cesar Sosa Celis, a criminal illegal alien from Venezuela, previously convicted of driving without a license and arrested for 2 counts of giving a false name to a police officer, was the subject of a targeted enforcement operation. He was released by... I'm sorry, what? He was released by Minnesota state authorities before ICE could even lodge a detainer. So Cecilis illegally entered the United States in August of 2022 under the Biden admin. The other 2 individuals involved are Alfredo Alejandro Aorna and Gabriel Alejandro Hernandez Ledesma. And I think we actually have a status update on this individual. Oh, yeah, wow, we do. Take a look at this.
A smiling photo of the suspect. This is Julio Cesar Sosa Celis, who is smiling inside of an ambulance, we are told last night, after being shot in the leg. This is being confirmed through multiple DHS and ICE sources that this is indeed the suspect. There are going to be more photos, but this is the first of several that we are told exist. Paul, I'll get your reaction to that.
I mean, well, you can see the environment that he's been living in. The fact that they felt empowered, the other two pieces felt empowered to come running out of the apartment and attack an armed ICE officer tells you what the atmosphere is there and how empowered they feel. Let me give him some bad news. He's under arrest federally. He's also going to be deported. And you know what? Venezuela is not going to...
I don't want him to be deported. Ladies and gentlemen, there's 3 of them here. I don't want any of them to be deported. Heavens, no. Lord, no. Do I want these 3 violent, criminally inclined illegal aliens who were attempting to beat an ICE officer to death with shovels? Do I want them deported? No. No, I don't. I want something else. There's something else that I want for these 3 individuals. Deportation? Are you kidding me?
Going to be as friendly to him as it was, let's say, a couple of weeks ago. But it goes to the fact that there is this ecosystem that is abetting all of this. And this is why the investigation into everything that's gone on up there, which 6 AUSAs, U.S. attorneys up there, apparently just couldn't countenance and had to resign. But this is why it's important, because there are people who are receiving money. And if you drill down far enough, you're going to find out some of it's federal tax money, as in our money. They are abetting this stuff, training people to attack ICE. Also a federal crime, aiding and abetting. It's black letter law. These are the kind of levers that I hope DOJ is bringing to deconstruct the networks up there, map who is who, who's funding them, who's telling them to attack ICE. All of these boxes have to be checked, because what you can't have is this to become the normal, because it'll spread. And then,
well, think about this. If you are an illegal alien residing in a sanctuary state, your entire experience being in this country, in this sanctuary state, is that of getting away with everything. Who cares if we're dealing drugs? Who cares if we're human trafficking children? Who cares if we're assaulting police officers? It doesn't matter, because we get a slap on the wrist. We're back out on the street. It's a sanctuary state. We know these stupid, moronic liberals aren't going to ever hold us criminally accountable. It's a sanctuary state. So what reason do we have, all of us illegal aliens, what reason do we have to follow the law or try to become good Samaritans, good members of society? Now, Scott Jennings on CNN Live earlier today engaged in a little bit of a heated monologue as it pertains to this entire incident. Take a listen to this.
Interaction turned out.
Are you comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with the federal government enforcing U.S. immigration laws, and these kinds of distractions take away from the story of the day. You had an ICE agent last night chasing down a Venezuelan national. That Venezuelan national attacked him and fought him. 2 other Venezuelan nationals ran out of a house and attacked him with brooms, handles, and shovels, which are deadly weapons. He had to discharge his weapon. 3 illegal aliens trying to kill an ICE agent in the street, and we're worried about interactions like this. This is outrageous. The state of Minnesota is in a state of insurrection right now. The governor is egging it on. The mayor is egging it on. If they want it to stop, cooperate with the federal government like states and cities are doing all over this country.
Yeah. Isn't the point of using very careful policing tactics and making sure that the use of force is documented and justified, doesn't it protect agents in the situation that you're describing, right? Where an agent does find himself in a situation and he does something, he uses force in a justified way. Doesn't an environment that encourages the community to support that agent, big picture,
I agree
help?
with you. If the community were being encouraged to support the agents, that would be good.
The community is not being encouraged to support this agent or any agents. In fact, mainstream media, the governor, the mayor, mainstream media, before any of the facts had come out, immediately they were running headlines. ICE officer shoots Minnesota state resident. ICE officer shoots random Minnesotan. And it's like, well, actually, there's a little bit more context here. Actually, it was an illegal alien from Venezuela who was alongside two other illegal aliens, criminally delinquent illegal aliens at that. They were in the act of attempting to beat this officer to death with shovels. That's some pretty important context here that all of these left-wing propaganda outlets were very eager to ignore.
They're being encouraged to confront the agents, to blow whistles in their faces, to agitate them. These police officers are being expected to exhibit superhuman patience that I would suspect none of us would be able to do
the federal
if we were
government
being confronted this way. And again, I just go back to the story in question. 3 illegal aliens beating a man with a shovel. What is he supposed to do?
But the federal government also is not coordinating with the state. This investigation.
Governor Tim Walz has given an order that no police in the entire state are to cooperate with ICE. That's not ICE's fault. This is coming from the Democrats.
That the state's been largely left out of.
Coordination?
The state has not been included in the investigation.
Who is denying cooperation, Alyssa? It's a sanctuary city. They won't.
And by the way, I don't
cooperate.
support sanctuary cities.
Cooperate.
How do you
Don't put this on the feds.
How do you
They're
do
getting cooperation in all kinds of other
because
states.
how do you do a legitimate law enforcement investigation without the local police? How do you just leave them out?
What do you mean?
It is the FBI and the federal.
It's purely
Bureau
the
of
federal
Investigation.
government.
In the case of Renee Good,
Yeah.
initially
Good question.
they were both involved, and then the federal government said, nope, we're not going to include the
So the
state.
local police are saying, and the local politicians say, we won't cooperate with you on enforcing the law, but when then something happens, we expect to be included. That's not how this works. Okay?
Well, it actually
because
is,
the politicians who run the cops there have already branded this man a murderer. Do you think that's going to be fair?
Okay,
I do not.
Well, it actually is silence. Silence! Silence, you stupid woman. Silence, you stupid idiot. No disrespect to women. Hey, I love women. Hey, I love women. I love women so much I even married one. That being said, silence, you stupid idiot woman. Unbelievable. Just shockingly stupid. Now, speaking of a woman that is not a stupid idiot, now we're going to take a listen to Carolyn Levitt, an audience favorite, who absolutely torched a member of the far-left propaganda media. Earlier today, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, take a listen to this.
Everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my
Yeah.
opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. But you're pretending like you're a journalist, but you're a left-wing activist. And the question that you just raised and your answer proves your bias. You should be reporting on the facts. You should be reporting on the cases. Do you have the numbers of how many American citizens were killed at the hands of illegal aliens who ICE is trying to remove from this country? I bet you don't. I bet you didn't even read up on those stories. I bet you never even read about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungray or all of the innocent Americans who were killed at the hands of illegal aliens in this country. And the brave men and women of ICE are doing everything in their power to remove those heinous individuals and make our communities safer. And shame on people like you in the media who have a crooked view and have a biased view and pretend like you're a real honest journalist.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and you're British and you're bald, so take that. No disrespect to bald people, by the way. I'm getting there personally. Now, I think we need to give Carolyn Levitt the title of Pitmaster because that was pretty much a BBQ-style cook-off is what we just saw there. Now, curiously, this individual, he said something early on in his question. He said that over the last 12 months, ICE has improperly temporarily detained 170 American citizens. Now, I don't know if you saw, I actually made a post on X, this thing went viral, has almost over 1 million views, this post I made. Adding some context to that number, 170 innocent Americans have been detained. Check this out. Take a listen. In the last 12 months, there have been 170 confirmed instances in which an American citizen was temporarily improperly detained by ICE. He is correct about that. That is true. In that very same time frame, 12 months, there have also been around approximately 622,000 forced deportations. When you do the math here, this puts ICE's improper temporary detention rate at 0.027%. In other words, ICE has a 99.973% success rate. Ladies and gentlemen, have any of you ever done something in your life 622,000 times at a 99.973 success rate? Because I haven't. Most certainly I have not. A success rate of this caliber is astounding, absolutely shocking. That's a pretty damn good score. Now, what's more, when we talk about 170 confirmed instances in which an American citizen was temporarily improperly detained, we're talking about like for 30 minutes, maybe a couple hours at most. Hey, is your name Fernando Gonzalez? Okay, come over here. We believe you're an illegal alien. You are being detained. There's a lot of people named Fernando Gonzalez, okay? There's a lot of Fernando Gonzalez's in the country, or Raul, or whatever, whatever. And so anyway, hey, you're detained. Okay, actually, 2 hours later, okay, we checked your paperwork. We pulled you up in our database. Turns out you're an American citizen and you're free to go. And that's the extent of this. So even when we are talking about these 170 improperly temporarily detained citizens, it's like kind of whatever anyway. I don't know, whatever. You know what? Hey, my name is Matt Morris. I would happily get detained for 5 hours if it meant that we could deport another million people. Is anybody else going to take the temporary detainment pledge? I offer myself. ICE temporarily detain me. It's an accident. I get it. For 5 hours, mistakes happen. You've got a pretty good track record. I can take it. 5 hours, as long as you promise to keep on deporting these people the hell out of my country, out of our country. Keep up the good work, boys. Okay, anyway, so a little bit of some extra context to this number that has been going around. DHS issued a public statement earlier today. They said, quote, "If you obstruct a law enforcement officer, it is a federal crime and a felony." By the way, it is. If you obstruct a law enforcement officer, it is a federal crime and a felony. If you lay a finger on law enforcement or destroy federal property, you will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Be smart. And later on in today's broadcast, I'm going to show you there have already been arrests and prosecutions coming soon. So we've got good news we're going to talk about later today. Now, following up on this notion from DHS, we hear from ICE Director, Todd Lyons. Take a listen.
I want to show a couple of things that are getting a lot of attention. This first video is ICE agents pulling a woman out of a car in Minneapolis. I read a piece this morning about her, that she is an activist. But clearly this kind of video is the sort of thing that, gets people riled up. They may not know all the details around it. What do you say?
Bye-bye. Well, hey, what do you say about this? I say, bye-bye. Have fun in Guatemala or wherever the hell you came from. Goodbye.
About this video.
Martha, you just said it perfectly right there. There's so much of that video that no one else has seen, unfortunately, right? And it doesn't show what she...
Can you tell us what else happened here that provoked this exchange?
Well, without getting too specific, since the fact that we do have criminal charges on that individual, you have somebody that's driving into a scene, you're driving into a law enforcement situation after being warned not to do that, coming at officers, blocking in vehicles. Then when she's told to get out of the car, she doesn't, and she resists at that point. And unfortunately, again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but when you have elected officials that are saying, go out and do this, go out and impede ICE, go out and protect your neighbor, and they're doing it like this. This is what happens and leads to it. And unfortunately, these videos come up and there's only one side to it. And we're constantly having to go on the defense. But the men and women of ICE are professional. They're professional law enforcement officers. That's what they're out there doing every day. And again, at the end of the day, we have to make sure our men and women of ICE and all law enforcement go home safe every night.
Just arrest her. Like we said, like we established, it is a federal crime. She is impeding. We know she is. Just arrest her. Just arrest her. Now, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of making arrests, Republican Congressional Representative Randy Fine earlier today has now officially called for the arrest. I kid you not. He's called for the arrest of Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, accusing him of treason. And you know what? He might have a point. Here's the video clip.
Yeah, well, look, what Jacob Frey is doing, and he's fomenting a second civil war, and we can see what happens when people behave this way. They are fostering a foreign invasion. All ICE is doing is trying to get people who are in this country illegally. And the fact of the matter is the vast majority that they're picking up are the scum of the earth. And for Democrat politicians to take the sides of foreigners over Americans is treason. Jacob Frey should be arrested for what he is doing because he is encouraging people to behave this way. And now there are two people who have been shot justifiably because of the rhetoric of Democrats. They need to be held accountable.
Lord, I hope we do. Lord, I hope we do. Can you imagine? So the other day we talked about these massive sweeping RICO charges, this RICO case Trump's DOJ is building out behind the scenes right now. Imagine if a huge component of that is designating a lot of these Democrats as categorical insurrectionists, meaning not only have they committed a crime, but also in the future, permanently going forward, none of them will be able to hold public office ever again. Complete and total scorched earth crackdown. The House Republican official page on X today posted this. Why does Jacob Frey, the socialist mayor of Minneapolis, think it is, quote, intolerable to enforce the immigration laws passed by Congress? Why are Democrats siding with criminal illegal aliens over the American people? Well, it's a curious question. I think we know the answer. It's because the Democrats have decided that their electorate is criminal illegal aliens. The Democrats no longer represent the American people. They have chosen to represent illegal aliens. Carolyn Levitt had another statement earlier today.
This country, elected officials who are using their platforms to encourage violence against federal law enforcement officers, who are encouraging left-wing agitators to unlawfully obstruct legitimate law enforcement operations. Yeah. And if you talk to any law enforcement officer, no matter what level they work at, they want to be working with their counterparts, whether that's at the federal level or the federal authorities wanting to work with their counterparts at the state and local level. And it's truly shameful that now for more than a year, you've had elected Democrat governors and mayors who have basically held their state and local law enforcement hostage and told them, you cannot cooperate with federal law enforcement. Why? They cooperated under the Biden administration. It's because these Democrats are deranged in their hatred for President Trump, and they are holding their state and local law enforcement hostage as a...
Oh, good Lord, folks. Listen, I had something that I wanted to show you later on in today's broadcast, but man, it is so timely and so topical to what she is saying right there that I can't wait any longer. I need to show you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you are not going to believe what I found for all of you today. I found footage featuring everyone's favorite president, Barack Hussein Obama, from the 2008 Democrat primary. You will not believe what Barack Hussein Obama had to say in 2008. We're going to take a quick listen. I'm sorry, but you need to see this.
This administration, the Bush administration, has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders since George Bush took office. It has become an extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is because they are seeing their own economic position slip away. And oftentimes, employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. As president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need. That's step number one. Step number two is to take on employers. Right now, an employer has more of a chance of getting hit by lightning than be prosecuted for hiring an undocumented worker.
So, ladies and gentlemen, good golly gosh, how the Democrat Party has shifted in 18 years. Barack Hussein Obama campaigned in 2008. He won the Democrat nomination. He ended up becoming our president for 8 years. This guy campaigned, whether or not he actually followed through and did it, the fact of the matter is this guy campaigned and got elected on deportations and shutting down the border. And now, well, talking about deportations, I mean, it's talk about taboo within the Democrat Party. They don't even want to have the conversation anymore. Now, Stephen Miller issued an address earlier today by telephone talking about this entire dynamic. Take a listen to Stephen Miller just a couple hours ago.
You only have to read their own words and hear their own words and judge their own conduct to understand that this is clearly an insurgency against the federal government.
Yes.
They are describing the federal government as an occupying force. Just think about that for a second. The federal government is responsible for the administration of federal law, the administration of federal benefits, the administration of federal resources, the administration of federal immigration enforcement in all 50 states. Right? The federal government, whether it's providing the funding for our entitlement and our safety net programs, whether it is providing security at our airports and our ports of entry, whether it is maintaining the safety and security of our roads, our transportation, our bridges. And of course, the federal government has sole jurisdiction and authority over immigration law because we have one national immigration law.
Yes.
We do not have, we have one national currency, we have one national flag, we have one national constitution, we have one national immigration law. If you were to permit individual cities and states to ratify their own immigration laws for themselves, then you wouldn't have a republic and you wouldn't have a country. And that's the proposition that Fry and Ellison and Waltz are trying to test. They are asserting that they have the unfettered right to harbor aliens who have no right to be in this country and to effectively, in fact, to incite violent insurrection from organized agitators against federal forces to prevent those federal forces from effectuating duly enacted immigration law.
Now, of course, everything you said is true, but it begs the question, okay, true, this is a proper and correct assessment of this situation and the problem that we have found ourselves with. The question now is, what are we going to do about it? Well, solving this entire dilemma is a multifaceted problem. It's going to take numerous approaches, different solutions to all of the little micro problems involved. Today, just about 90 minutes ago, in fact, or less, Border Czar, former ICE director, in fact, Tom Homan, came out and made what can only be described as a bombshell announcement. I haven't seen anybody else talking about this. This is big news, what you are about to hear, because it sounds as if the DHS is going to put together a comprehensive federal database in which all of these far-left agitators are going to be registered. If you are assaulting ICE officers, breaking into cars, you know the type of behavior, you will be put into a database. And it will also, it sounds like it's going to be public. So if you're trying to get a new job or get admitted into university or join the military or do anything, well, there's going to be a public database where people can check whether or not you are a far-left agitator. Take a listen.
This job and these people who want to say follow ICE, and film ICE, you know what? You can protest. They have that right. But when you cross that line, and we've proven it, if you interfere or impede or assault an ICE officer, you will be prosecuted. And one thing I'm pushing for right now, Laura, we're going to create a database where those people that are arrested for interference, impediment, assault, We're going to make them famous. We're going to put their face on TV. We're going to let their employers in their neighborhoods, in their schools, know who these people are. Because as you said, a lot of these people, they say they're taking time off work to protest. I bet you a lot of them are calling in sick. I bet you a lot of their employers don't know what they're doing. But we're going to make sure everybody knows who they are. We're going to broadcast. They want to broadcast the ICE officer that was nearly killed all over the internet. We're going to broadcast every one of these people we arrest.
You know what? I just had an absolutely crazy thought right now, just on the fly. We've seen a lot of these protesters. They are older. Seems like a lot of them are retirees, generally like female retirees. A lot of grandmas out here. Have you noticed? Seems like there's a lot of grandmas out here. You know what? Here's what I'll say. Cut them off Social Security. Go scorch earth. You want to shut this down? Seems like a good 50 or 60% of these protesters are retirees. How about this? If you're out there trying to impede federal law enforcement officers, you are getting cut off of Social Security benefits. You want to risk it? All right, go have fun. No more Social Security, food assistance, whatever you are getting, you are cut off. It's over. You do not get to behave this way and continue receiving money from the government like this. It's over. Shut them down. Shut them down. Now, there's another little component here worth mentioning. The First Amendment actually does not, go read it if you want, it does not protect your right to protest. Word for word specifically, it does not. What the First Amendment does do is protect your right to peacefully assemble. In accordance with the First Amendment, we are all allowed to peacefully assemble, peacefully assemble. Is it a peaceful assembly to break into federal law enforcement vehicles and steal paperwork and firearms from federal law enforcement officers? No. Is it peacefully assembling to attempt to attack, assault, or kill federal law enforcement officers? No. Is it peacefully assembling to, park your vehicle in front of federal law enforcement officers as they are on the job trying to do their job? No, these are not peaceful assemblies. These assemblies have been, frankly, anything but peaceful. Now, speaking of members of the far left that are not peaceful today, I want to show you a couple videos here that have been going viral just to spread awareness here. These far left radical progressives, they are getting increasingly agitated and violent. Take a listen to what this one earlier today said on TikTok. This video is going viral right now. Absolutely insane.
Hey, if you're an ICE agent, it's a good time to kiss your...
I'm sorry, I'll restart that. My bad, apologies.
Hey, if you're an ICE agent, this might be a good time to kiss your spouse and kids goodbye, because you know what? You might not be coming home tomorrow. Gladly. And your family will be better off for it.
Hey, if you're an... So that's obviously a threat. And this, just understand how brazen these people have become. A couple years ago, they might be wearing a mask. He'd be trying to conceal his identity. Maybe he'd be using some voice changing software. I don't know. But he's just uploaded Johnny Gen X is just uploading this on TikTok. You can see his face. No problem. Everybody knows who he is. Well, it's Johnny Gen X. Arrest him. This person should be arrested immediately. Immediately, ASAP. Here's another one.
I saw this image left in the comments of another video, and
this image. Make ICE's wives widows. What do you think that means?
As the ex-wife of a maggot, and I consider ICE to be maggots on fucking steroids, I'd just like to state that this would be doing them a favor.
For those of you that don't know, maggot, M-A-G-A, like MAGA with a T, maggot, that is one of their pejoratives. That is what they like to call us. Guilty, maggot, maggot, however you pronounce it, guilty as charged, perhaps, I don't know. So she's out here saying that, similarly, ICE agents should be killed. Purple hair, got the nose thing, got the lip thing, got the crazy makeup. Yep. Check the box, and well, let me get out my sheet here. Okay, check box, check box, check box, check box. Okay, you're right. All of the boxes have been checked. Now, this one is perhaps going to blow your mind. This is going viral right now as well. Minnesota State Representative, a representative in Minnesota State, Brad Tabke, a Democrat, is doxing the live locations of ICE officers on Twitter, on X, to help illegal aliens evade arrest and guiding anti-ICE agitators who look for agents to harass. Now, all these screenshots are old, so I'm not putting anybody at risk here, but just to give you some perspective, this is a sitting Democrat congressional representative, and he is just all day. ICE at the back of Shakopee Amphitheater. ICE at Lama Bonita in Savage. ICE hit a Domino's delivery driver going fast. All day he's doing this. This is a sitting Democrat politician in the state of Minnesota. Once again, arrest him. Is this guy impeding with ongoing federal law enforcement operations? Yes, arrest him. All three of these people we've taken a look at. Now, folks, speaking of arrests, I just got done showing you the bad news, some of these crazy people. Let's talk about some good news, because today, ladies and gentlemen, we actually did see some arrests, and I think you guys are going to like this. Now, I'm sure some of you have seen this video. This is footage from last night. Take a look at this. If you have not seen this, this will blow your mind. As a recap here, these are far-left extremists breaking into an ICE vehicle. They were using a hatchet to smash into the footlocker in the back of the vehicle, hacking their way in. They get inside. This bag right here is the firearm of an ICE officer or an FBI officer, FBI agent.
Oh my God.
So this individual here has just stolen, says FBI, stolen an FBI rifle out of the back of a federal vehicle. And it's curious, he has a very identifying tattoo on his cheek, is what that looks like. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some breaking news for you. Well, today, this individual, just about an hour ago, has been identified. This is Raul Gutierrez. As it would turn out, guess what? He actually has a criminal history. Who would have thought? He, in fact, has a criminal history. He's 33. He's 1 year older than me. And he has this identifying tattoo. And now, so he's been identified. In fact, he's already been arrested. Take a look at this. A message from our Attorney General, Pam Bondi, today about, how long? I don't know. About an hour ago, in fact. She said, today, our ATF HQ agents in Minneapolis, alongside the Justice Department partners, executed an arrest warrant on a known member of the Latin Kings gang. So he's a member of the Latin Kings. That is a Latin Kings tattoo on his cheek, in fact. He allegedly stole FBI body armor and weaponry, in addition to a long list of prior crimes. This criminal is a perfect example of what our brave federal law enforcement agents are up against every single day as Minnesota leadership encourages lawbreaking. Thank you to our agents for their outstanding police work. So they actually nabbed this guy in less than 24 hours. Thank God. He was running around with a rifle belonging to a federal law enforcement officer, and he was a member of the Latin Kings. Would you guess he's an illegal alien himself? I would guess. Personally, I would take that guess. Now, we also had another arrest. There he is. Smile. This is coming from FBI Director Kash Patel. The FBI and partners have arrested Giorgio James Jones out of Minneapolis, the individual who allegedly destroyed federal property and smashed windows attempting to breach the Minneapolis courthouse a couple days ago. As we've said repeatedly, if you attack law enforcement, impede their operations, or engage in destructive behavior, this FBI will find you and bring you to justice. So we have another big arrest today. In fact, and you know what is so funny is this footage, this screenshot here is from a YouTuber. His name is Mercado Media. I can see the emblem and the logo in the bottom left. Mercado Media, he is a far left YouTuber. He's a far left podcaster. And so what is so hilarious is that it was the footage from a member of the far left media on YouTube was used by the FBI to arrest a member of the far left. Irony, right? How rich is that? How rich is that? Beautiful. You love to see it. You love to see it. Splendid. Now we have another arrest earlier today. We're going to go through the details on this one. Last night during a riot, excuse me, folks. Last night during a riot in Minneapolis, a U.S. citizen was arrested for assaulting ICE officers while carrying a firearm. The individual showed up to the protest with a gun and a box of ammunition in a bag. The individual threatened violence against law enforcement officers while pointing at the bag. After law enforcement deployed crowd control measures to calm an increasingly volatile crowd, the individual kicked a metal smoke canister at the officers. He then pushed an officer and was arrested for assault. While being arrested, he stated he had a firearm, which was located along with a box of ammunition. He was not carrying his concealed carry permit. This is not the peaceful protesting that the First Amendment protects. Most certainly, it is not. Was this individual peacefully protesting as our First Amendment says? Yeah, I don't think so. He's making threats of violence while pointing at the gun in his bag. Yeah, I don't think so. Peaceful protest. Now, earlier on in today's broadcast, I said that Donald Trump, the Trump administration really at large, made a really monumental legal victory today. Let's go ahead and talk about today's legal victory. The Third Court of Appeals has struck down the decision made by an activist judge to release pro-Hamas activist Mahmoud Khalil. Everybody remember this individual? He was talk of the town over summer, maybe 5-6 months ago. Mahmoud Khalil, he was detained. A judge got involved and said, you got to release him. You got to let him go. It went to the appellate court, and now the Third Circuit Court of Appeals said, actually, you can detain him again. Actually, cuff him. Put the cuffs back on. This is a huge win for the Trump administration. We will not allow terrorist supporters to endanger the national security of the United States of America. This individual, Mahmoud Khalil, was involved in instigating numerous pro-Hamas protests, riots on various university campuses in the country. Secretary of State Marco Rubio himself actually chimed in on this one specifically about 2 hours ago. He said, for the fake news peddling misinformation about the appellate ruling for Mahmoud Khalil, here is our stance in simple terms. If you sympathize with terrorists, your presence in this country, your presence is contrary to the national and foreign policy interests of the United States of America. You are not welcome here. Goodbye. And so that is where we are. So a series of arrests. President Trump is on the cusp of invoking the Insurrection Act. I think whether or not Trump invokes the Insurrection Act really is going to depend on what we see tonight, this weekend, tonight, going into this weekend. What do these far left freaks in Minneapolis do? What do they do? Trump has issued the warning, as he legally has to do. He has to issue that warning. And so we're going to see what happens this weekend. The ball is up in the air right now. The ball is up in the air. And now it seems like Mahmoud Khalil is free to get deported out of the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, what I would love to do is go ahead and take a look at the super chats. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Wow, we are doing 2 daily live broadcasts every single day at this point, on top of some videos here and there. I want to say thank you, everyone. If you are new to the show, do me a favor, subscribe, hit the follow button, make sure to like today's video. Before you forget, you got to do it right now. Thank you. And I'm going to pull up these super chats before I forget and see what you find, folks in the audience, have had to say about all of today's news. Crazy day. Things are moving very fast in this country. It's hard to keep up to speed. even for a guy like me. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first super chat of the day from Randy. Hi there, Randy. He says, congrats on 700K, my friend. Have some Stella to celebrate. You know, I'll tell you something. I said, sweetie, to my wife, I hit 700,000 on YouTube tonight. We're going out for dinner. So the second I wrap up this broadcast, thank you very much. We're going out. We're going to have a family dinner somewhere. I don't know where. Really, thank you guys for subscribing and tuning in every single day. The support is just colossal, monumental. So thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to have a nice little celebratory family dinner tonight after tonight's broadcast. Thank you very much. And onward and forward to 1 million someday. It might take a year. I don't know, but someday. Thank you very much. Canis Husky, he says, here in Ohio, Michael DeWine assured us there is no fraud. Excuse me. Then he assured us we shouldn't even investigate. Don't worry about it. I've written my state government representative, Adam Holmes, multiple times, and he's silent still. I have a feeling Ohio is kind of coming up next. I think Trump is going to wrap up in Minnesota whenever that happens, and then he'll move on to California, Ohio. I don't know. That would be my guess, though. So hey, hang in there. Hang in there. I think it's going to be okay. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. Greg Adamite, he says, Matt, congratulations on 700K, and someone needs to get Tampon Tim's passport so he doesn't go to China to see his buddy. You think he would try to flee the country? Might be the case. Might be the case. We know there is an investigation into him right now, federal investigation. Might be a good idea. Mr. Adamite, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. You know what? While we're doing super chats, ladies and gentlemen, if you will permit me, while we're doing super chats here, why don't we just go ahead and why don't we go MAGA mode? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going MAGA mode. Warning, you are entering the MAGA zone. Be careful going forward. Patriots only. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get back to the super chats. Thank you very much. We have a super chat here from JRG Projects. He says, the Dems are pushing the envelope to the point that the only way they will back off is with overwhelming force. I think you're right. I think it's about at that point. Minnesota must be made an example of, a very public example. I agree. I couldn't agree more. Me and my hat could not agree more. Thank you very much. True. I mean, you're right. You're, of course, jokes aside, you're totally right. You're 100% right. Absolutely. This cannot be allowed to stand. We must make them kneel. It is true. Thank you, sir. JP Moon, $100 super chat, by the way. Whoa. Thank you very much. He says, OMG, long live Patriots. Love the show, Matt. Mr. JP Moon. Nice Pepe the Frog avatar, by the way. Patriots are in control. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. That's a massive level of support. That goes a long way. Without viewers like you, without viewers like all of you, there would be no show. So thank you very much for tuning in night after night. Thank you very much. That's a big one. That's a massive one. We have a super chat here from Ruby Hoof. Thank you. Good to see you again. Good evening. Waltz should go to prison, not just lose his job. Insurrection Act is being activated. First off, activate it. Second off, yes. Waltz needs to be in a prison cell. Yes, he needs to be charged federally as an insurrectionist, and he needs to be sitting inside of a prison cell. Yes. Hit that like button if you agree. Hey, so make sure to subscribe if you agree. Good one. I agree, Ruby. I agree. Joseph, he says, what up, Matt? Thanks for what you do. I live in Colorado where they tried to remove Trump from the ballot. Plan failed. Rip Charlie Kirk. True. Rest in peace. I think about Charlie Kirk like every day, by the way. True. First off, yes. Second, so you know better than anybody what they tried to do. The baloney that they tried to pull in Colorado during the Republican primary, right? Where they tried to rip Trump off the ballot. I'm still astounded that the Supreme Court shot that down in a 9-0 decision. The Supreme Court shot that down. Crazy. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. And so he says, Dr. Doofenshmirtz has a better success rate against Perry the Platypus than the Democrats have against Trump. Minnesota is going to lure this Saturday. I think, listen, this weekend is going to be an eventful weekend. I'm thinking that this Saturday night we're going to do some live riot watch. Are you guys down Saturday night riot watch in the evening? We'll see what they do. We'll be here for like a couple hours, 3, 4, 5 hours. Friday, tomorrow, of course, is formal Friday. But I think that on Saturday we'll do some live riot watch. I think so. Also, I'm sorry. Who in the hell is Dr. Doofenshmirtz? Am I supposed to know who Perry the Platypus? Who is that? Who is Perry the Platypus? And Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Anyway, hey, great. They sound like great people. They sound like great people. They sound great. I don't know. I don't know who that is. We have a super chat here from Missy. Missy says $2 challenge. Missy, thank you. Yeah, listen. However big or small or non-existent at all, I appreciate you guys just being here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Missy. Mike Williams, Mr. Williams, he says, if an illegal alien is arrested anywhere in America, no bond should be allowed, period. End of damn story. Yeah, you know, this is, okay, you have raised like a very basic question that I actually don't know the answer to. Can illegal aliens get out on bond? I don't think so. I don't think so. Can you imagine how absurd? Well, of course. Okay. Well, they're not supposed to in sanctuary states. I would imagine, actually, now that I think about it, the answer might be yes. The answer might be yes in sanctuary states, but otherwise, normally, under normal circumstances, they are not supposed to be able to. Let's say that. Sanctuary states is a little bit different, though. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you. Rub-a-Duck says, do you think we will do some kind of invasion of Canada because of their dealing with China? No, I don't think we're going to invade Canada. If anything, if the Trump administration really starts getting concerned about China's relationship with Canada, then I think that the U.S., the Trump administration, will just start sort of exerting pressure on Canada in the same way that we have exerted pressure on various other countries. But no, I don't think there will be an invasion. I don't think so. This cord is driving me crazy. Retired Nana, she says, they need to be deported because the Democrats will give them amnesty, send to El Salvador for life. We know for an absolute fact, we've heard from numerous senior-ranking Democrats that the second they have the capacity to do so, the Democrats, they are going to grant mass amnesty and a pathway to citizenship for every single illegal alien currently in the country. We know that that is what they want. So I don't know, how many illegal aliens do we have? 35, 40, 50 million? I don't know. However tens of millions of illegal aliens we have, the second the Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the White House, they will go nuclear, and they will grant mass amnesty to every single one of them. Alongside many other things that would destroy the Republic. They will do that, though, of course. You're right. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, retired Nana. This is Donna from Dallas, Texas, says, you're the best, Matt. Keep up the great info. Hey, I remember you from last night. Donna from Dallas, Texas. Shout out everybody from Dallas. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming back and tuning in. You know, I understand you guys only have so much time in the day in your life, and I'm very blessed that you guys have chosen to share your time with me during these live shows and my YouTube videos and on Rumble. So, hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me your time and your attention. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. It means a lot. Time is a very precious resource, and you guys are sharing it with me, so I appreciate that. Presto36, he says, I have some concerns about this change with pauses on visas from certain countries. I have a girlfriend from Myanmar. She works full-time as a nurse and wants to assimilate properly. How are we supposed to stay optimistic? You know, if that is your personal situation, I don't know, like maybe get married. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you need to get married. I don't know. Good luck sorting that out. Ruby Hoove says, ICE should be thanked and given a raise. True. Heroes. ICE patriots. Heroes. Hero patriots. Saviors of the Republic. When I see an ICE officer, I'm looking at an American hero, at a savior of this republic. That's who I'm looking at. No, thank you. No, I agree. You're right. Dude, my nose is itchy tonight. Thank you. Craig Morris, thank you very much. He said, this is a big one too, a $50 super chat. He says, sir, us bald guys are people too. This is a curious question. Are bald people Really? Technically people? Are they even human? No, I'm kidding. Listen, hey, there is a reason why I wear a hat. Okay, well, one day a week I take the hat off, but listen, okay, it's not, listen, every single year, it's looking a little bit worse up there. Every single year, it's looking a little bit worse up there. That's just the way it goes. That's kind of how life is. It is what it is. You gotta deal with it however you deal with it. Hey, thank you. Listen, shout out all the bald people. Shout out all of the bald individuals in the audience. I stand in solidarity with all of the bald people out there all around the world. Shout out the bald people. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you, Mr. Morris. That's just the way it goes. What can you do? I guess you could go to Turkey. Go to Turkey and get the hair plugs they have in Turkey. That's one way to do it. I think Elon Musk did that. I don't know. This is Captain Dumbass. He says, can we trade Minnesota for Alberta and British Columbia? They want to be American. Minnesota wants to be shithole. Even trade, bad trade thoughts. Listen, this is my thing. We need to stop giving the leftists anything at all whatsoever, period. So if the idea is, well, Minnesota's a lost cause, let them have it. Trade it for something else. No. How about we retake Minnesota? It's not a lost cause because we are still here because our hearts are still beating. It is not a lost cause. There was a battle going on and we will win the battle. We are not going to surrender. We're not going to give it up. We're not going to walk away. We're not going to bury our head in the sand. We are going to take it back. And then we're coming for California and Ohio and Washington and Oregon and Maine and Vermont. We will not stop until the entire country has been purged of this far left, radically progressive, subversive ideology, this rot, the plague. We are not done until it has been conquered and defeated. Okay? And we're not going to trade it for anything else. Now, I don't know. Maybe we could have a conversation about Alberta. I don't know. Maybe we could get our hands on Alberta. Who knows? I don't know. But that's a different conversation. This is Wes B. Plan. He says, not just a felony. We need to make sure felons can't vote and election integrity is in place. Yes, we need election integrity. Very true. Very true. I think felons already can't vote. I'm not sure. Andrew Jackson, he says, every time I see Minneapolis police chief, it looks like he is second guessing all of his life choices. Yeah, I mean, listen, hey, I think I've kind of looked at that guy's body language also. Every time I see him, I kind of have the same impression that you have. It's like slowly dawning on him that he is on the wrong side of the equation, that he is on the losing team. And I think that police chief in Minneapolis is slowly coming to that realization. He's not looking as confident as he was a couple weeks ago. He's looking a little bit glum. Okay, let's say that. No, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. This is from Blanca Zamora, says Jumbo Pam is not doing a damn thing. She's doing a couple things, but she could be doing more things. She's doing a couple things. She could be doing more though. Retard Nana says Hillary Clinton and Pelosi spoke out like Obama. Oh yeah, back in the day. No, back in the day, the Democrats allegedly they wanted to shut the border down. They never actually really did, but it was a talking point at least. Now they're just open about it. Now they don't even pretend. Blanca Zamora says Jumbo. Okay, we saw that one. This is from Ruby Hoob, says break the law. There are consequences to breaking the law. Not very hard to understand. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Very true. They were effing around, and now it is time to find out. Now it's time to find out. We have a super chat here from Frank Bailey. He says they will happily take federal money, but won't follow federal laws. So we should cut them off of the federal money, right? That seems to be a good move. And by the way, the Trump administration is doing that. They announced 2 days ago that they are cutting every single sanctuary state off of the federal dollar. Good. Shut them down. Thank God. This is Doug Ward. Mr. Ward, he says, the winning continues. This is exactly what I voted for. God bless our president and God bless the United States of America. True. True. Thank you very much. Like, you know, I gave a big rant about this earlier today. The Democrats are losing, and I think that they know that they are losing, and this is why they are becoming increasingly agitated and violent and aggressive. This is a death rattle. This is the final shriek of a dying beast, if we can make a metaphor here. They know that they are losing, and this is why they are getting increasingly belligerent, because they know their entire power structure, the entire apparatus that they have spent decades building out, the paid protesters, the foreign money, the NGOs, the taxpayer-funded slush funds, the illegal alien invasion, all of this, they know that it's getting shut down and ripped apart by President Trump and his administration. They know that they are losing. They are on the cusp of losing everything. And that's why they're freaking out and melting down right now. Now, we had 20 gifted community memberships from Bruce. Bruce, sir, that's massive. Thank you very much. Bruce Rice, thank you for those. That really is a big deal. Paul McBay, thank you, sir. Hey, good evening. Good evening. Mr. McBay, sir. And we had one final big super chat here from Mark Volker. He said, it's not just the Democrats. Senator Emmer Rhino, Republican Rhino, sits on the Somali caucus board and helped Keith Ellison, Democrat Antifa, that's the Attorney General for Minnesota, write the bill that funds the Somali fraud. He's up for re-election this year. Now, maybe I'm misremembering. Why did I think that Senator Emmer is retiring, that he's stepping down? At a minimum, if he's not, I know that Trump has publicly said, you are getting primary. Trump is waging war against this guy if he's not retiring. I don't know why I thought he was retiring, though, but maybe not. Anyway, yeah, Rhino alert. Trump has already called him out. Enough is enough. Got to get rid of this guy. Everyone, I want to say thank you. Can I speak English? Hey, gracias. Hey, everybody, gracias. I better be careful. I don't want to get deported myself. Everyone, thank you all very much for tuning in tonight, this morning, every single day. Thank you all very much. Insane amount of support lately. The super chats, everybody tuning in. So many viewers, I can't even count that high. The likes, the follows, everybody is subscribing. We just hit 700,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're going to hit 50,000 on Rumble. So thank you, everybody in Rumble as well. Massive support on Rumble. Everyone, thank you very much. That is going to be a wrap for today's broadcast. I promised my wife I would take her out for dinner tonight, so I got to get out of here. I will be back tomorrow, another early morning broadcast at 11 Western. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. We're here twice a day, plus videos and everything else. So everybody, God bless and stay safe. Have a great night. Tomorrow's going to be a crazy day. It's going to be Formal Friday, of course, by the way. And we'll be hitting it hard tomorrow. So everybody, I'll see you folks tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Take care. And I'll see you tomorrow once again. Take care, everyone.